Nothing's come up yet. Yes, it's come up. Yes, thank you. Okay. Welcome to today's hearing for the Convenience Barn. Let me get the address correct. Convenience Barn at 217 High Street, Acton, London, W3 9BY. Application for a premises license. My name is Anthony Kelly. I'll be chairing today's meeting with my colleagues, Councillor Praveen Anand and Councillor Kim Nagpal. So we are today's subcommittee. We're advised legally by the legal advisor to the committee, Hatun Zeb, and Sean O'Brien is the Democratic Services Officer, who is the clerk to the meeting and will be minuting it. You will have all received or seen the agenda pack, within which is contained the licensing officer's report with details of an application in section 1. To confirm, we are dealing with a new premises license application in relation to the premises known as the Convenience Barn, 217 High Street, Acton, London, W3 9BE. We have received 2 objections from the following responsible authority: Mr. Bob Deere of the Licensing, Compliance and Enforcement Team of Ealing Council, Officer Vicky Hewison from the Metropolitan Police, represented here today by Officer Sergeant Kassar. In accordance with procedure, I'll invite the applicant to present the application, answer any questions and call upon any witnesses, and then invite those who have made representations to do so, answer any questions and call upon any witnesses. At the conclusion of the hearing, the subcommittee, accompanied by the legal advisor and the committee Democratic Services Officer, will retire to consider its decision. The decision will be given at the end of the meeting and confirmed in writing forthwith. If the panel cannot reach a decision today, you'll be notified as such within 5 working days. So, Mr. Panchal, if you'd like to present your application, please, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. This application is, we have made this application through our company, and Mr. Manpreet Kapoor is one of our managers. We always tend to put, when we work along with the council, the licensing authority do know us for so many years, and we understand that the application is carried out by our company. Mr. Zahid Butt's application was put in for 217 Convenience Barn for a license for retail sale of alcohol from 8 to 12. The application has been put in, but today we've discussed further with Mr. Zahid Butt, and he understands the area. He's been around the area before. When this shop was previously owned by previous owners before Mr. Anil took it over, Mr. Zahid had worked in that area from 2017 to 2020. Presently, he has agreed, knowing that this shop was up for sale, and has lost the license. Chairman, I'm going to be presenting the case in 2 ways. First of all, I have got the previous owner who has lost the license, the present owner, let's put it down like that, who has been the owner of the shop and who had lost the license during the hearing for the mistakes that we did not present that case, or we were not present at that point, but the license was revoked by the licensing committee for reasons for employment of illegal persons at the premises. I'm briefly going to ask Mr. Anil, the previous owner, to say a few words about why he's selling the shop or what he intends to do, and then I'll come back to Mr. Zahid Butt, who is going to be the new license holder. So I'm asking Anil to present his case.
Good morning, all.
You have to speak loudly. Yeah?
Sorry. Good morning, all. I'm Mr. Anil Bajaj, who used to be the license holder at the Convenience Barn. Would like to sell my business, provided as terms that Mr. Saeed has put to me, that he gets the license so I can sell the business to him. I would like to sell my business because I've had a lot of issues with my family, with my father passing away in the recent months and my mother-in-law. I have to deal with a lot of family affairs and I haven't been giving time to my family at all. Also, the pressure of this business has just drained me out. So I've had an agreement with Mr. Zaid that provided he gets the license, he takes over my shop, I would have nothing to do with number 217 Acton High Street or the convenience barns anymore. That's all I've got to say at the moment.
Okay. Thank you very much. That was
Thank you, Mr. Judge.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So I will ask now Mr. Zaid, the applicant, to be with me. As you've seen, Chairman, the previous owner has made it very clear that he tends to leave the business. He understands the license has been revoked. I'm going to go through how Mr. Zaid Butt, who has had experience from 2017 to 2020. I would like to present it that he will have a staff training manual at the premises. He will be having a refusal book. He will be having CCTV posters required by law. He will be having the Leave Quietly Neighbors. He will have the incident book. He will also have a challenge. He will be following the Challenge 25 scheme at the premises. The training manual will be logged in with all the people, as the premises had the previous problem with the right to work checklist. All the staff will be trained 1 hour or 2 hours before they get employed and sent in for BII level 1 course. There will also be right to work checklist. All the checklists and everything would be logged in and kept at the premises for the responsible authorities to have a look. There'll be a Section 57 notice put up for people who will be nominated to work at the premises when the DPS is not around. Mr. Zaid Butt will be running the business himself. He will be present all the time at the business, as he's going to be the new DPS of the premises if the license is granted. Mr. Zaid Butt does understand the full licensing objectives. He has an experience in working that. I just want to make sure we do understand that the objection by Mr. One of the responsible authorities is why was the new contract or anything presented, but we are going to be adding a condition. We are asking the committee that we will be putting a condition to say contract documents for the sale of business and in transfer to Mr. Zaid Butt will be made, because Mr. Zaid Butt's at the present moment is presenting that he will only be buying the business if there is a license at the business. If there is no license, the trade is not going to be profitable. So hence, if the license is granted within next 2 months, a condition will be laid out on the license today, if it is granted, that the documents will be presented within 2 months after the license has been granted to the licensing authority regarding the change of business and the contracts of the business. There is one more thing that Mr. Zaid has looked at the area. He understands it's on a special area there, but he has been there and he understands all the people living around the area. He knows who are there, and the conditions we've laid out on page 19 of the bundle, that there will be no single cans of beer, lager, or cider or spirits mixtures sold at the premises. We have also considered the area, and we put down that there will be no strong beers sold at the premises above 5.5. And there will be no miniatures sold at the premises. Those conditions are already in the operating schedule being put up for the premises. Mr. Zaid, after due consideration and talking to us, has decided the sale of alcohol, which he has mentioned in the application through Mr. Kapoor, which was going to be at 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock, would like to reduce the morning hours from instead of 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So we would like to amend it from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. The other matter that we would like for the committee to to consider is Mr. Bob Deer's mention on page 38, paragraph 2, which says, "I'm aware that the applicant, Mr. Zaid Butt, was seen working in the premises by Bob Deer on 15th November 2023. We would like that to be corrected, Mr. Zaid. Mr. Zaid Butt has never been working in the premises. And on November 2023, Mr. Zaid, who also works part-time at the Heathrow Airport, was working at Heathrow Airport. It must be noted it was not Mr. Zaid, but it was Mr. Fawad who was present at the premises that Mr. Bob Deer must have seen. So we would like that to be corrected, or Mr. Bob Deer could clarify." So, Chairman, that's what our presentation is at the moment. And we feel with the operating schedule, Mr. Zaid Butt's experience of the area as well as experience in the off-license trade, we would like that the license be granted today. We are happy to take any questions.
Indeed, thank you very much, Mr. Panchal. In fact, questions from the police team in relation to the application, Officer Dimitri.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, councillors and everybody on this hearing today. With regards to employment of staff, Mr. Butt, I know you are aware that previously, when a visit was conducted, 2 people who didn't have the correct working status in the United Kingdom, how are you going to vet that and monitor that to make sure that staff that is employed will be there on a legal basis or legal framework, falling within the legal framework of the United Kingdom?
I have just presented the staff training manual, which does log in the legal status.
Mr. Panchal, so you've said Mr. Butt is an experienced off-license operator. So how will he do that? How will he do that? That's a question. That's a question to Mr. Butt.
Yeah, about the employment. How would you look at their?
Look at the documents, right? Yeah. Check is a valid visa, allowed to work. It might be a passport or biometric card, which is a valid, and they must be allowed to work in this country, not only like just a visa for visa, which is not allowed. So this is most important, and must take a copy of the documents. I keep in my record.
Sergeant Dimitri, did you want to explore that a bit more, sir?
Yes, if you don't mind, Chair. So with regards to the vetting process, you're saying you're just going to go via the documents and to see whether the visa is correct, etc. What about going through, say, the Department of Work and Pensions in terms of to seeing whether they registered with an NH,
national insurance,
your national insurance number, etc. How will you facilitate that, Mr. Butt? So what I'm asking is, what in terms of your responsibility, in terms of your responsibility as the owner of the business, how are you going to monitor that?
Monitor an NI number, tax year with accountant, with my accountant.
Okay, and in terms of their work, the employment records, etc., are you going to have? You've stated you're going to have records of that on the premise. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. In terms of where the the shop is, I'll move it on, Chair. In terms of where the shop is, and its locale, as has been mentioned, it is in a special priority area on Acton High Street. How long have you monitored that area for? Because I would assume before you purchase the business, you're going to obviously monitor the foot traffic that comes through just to get a feel of the area, etc. So from a crime and from the full licensing objectives, my concern is because it's in a special priority area, with regards to street drinkers and people of that ilk entering your stall that do cause crime and disorder, antisocial behaviour. What feel have you got for that area? And in terms of that, following on to that question, what is it you will be doing to try and minimise that from having an effect on your clientele within the store?
So can I just perhaps sort of repackage that? So
yes,
in terms of so there's an inherent challenge in Acton High Street, hence the special policy area that was introduced 4 years ago, data driven. So how would you understand that challenge, and how would you meet that challenge with reference to the licensing objectives, for licensing objectives? So thank you.
Yeah, I know the area very well and the local people. Most of generation just grown up front of my eyes, and they know me very well. So they respect me a lot. And when they saw me in last few days, they're very happy. I was come back. So they said, even you run the shop, we come back to again your customer, because they change a shop to buying somewhere else. So I know quite good, like you can say 7-8 years with this area very well, and lots of people know me by face, by name, which is a local residence.
Sergeant Dimitri, did you want to?
Okay, so I understand you saying the people know you very well, but in terms of the shop itself, how would you manage the unruly people, say, that wish to frequent or come to your shop? So by that I mean the street drinkers that I've been alluding to, and that is why it is a special priority area, which then leads into the two of the four licensing objectives, one of which is crime and disorder, and then public nuisance. So how will you do, what will you do to minimize that effect?
I will be going to course for conflict management.
And how will you do that?
We have a course of conflict management with us, which is we are advising him prior to start that they go through that course with us.
Okay.
But Mr. Butt, in to sort of paraphrase, you're saying he's an experienced off-license operator, and he has said, you know, he's been known the area up until 8 years ago, or before 8 years ago, knows the customer. So we're trying to give Mr. Butt the opportunity to demonstrate this, this knowledge, experience, and being able to uphold the licensing objectives. So what can Mr. Butt say that will, you know, this is his opportunity to demonstrate that he understands how to run an off license with, you know.
Like I said, they know me very well. They listen to me, whatever I said nicely. They never argument with me when I was there 3 years. So I'm sure I can handle everything very calm, everything. When I was there, never ever had a problem with none of them. They come nicely, give me respect and nicely take the stuff and go on. And still I know how to handle the people, especially which is if someone drunk, not giving them alcohol again anymore. Like everything, I know how to public safety. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Sergeant Dimitri?
Yes, thanks, Chair. So I understand, as you've mentioned, you've got the Challenge 25, you've got your incident books, refusal, etc., which you will be documenting. In terms of staff within your premises, especially in the latter hours of the evening, how many will be present in the latter hours of or throughout the course of the day, Mr. Butt?
2 people.
Throughout the day, is that correct?
Yeah.
Or will it be different at different times of the day?
Yeah, 2 people a day, and which are required and need, and third one is myself. That's it.
Okay. And then in terms of your CCTV system, is it the existing CCTV system, or will you be implementing your own? And if so, what training will you give your staff?
CCTV.
Sorry?
I put new CCTV. Yeah.
Does all the staff have training on that CCTV? So
Yes.
should an incident occur at your
Yes.
particular shop, you're able to give that to the responsible authorities at that given time when required?
Yes, whenever you required. We're willing to give you ready always.
Okay. Then in terms of what we said earlier, I know, Mr. Panchal, you stated that on the 15th of June, Mr. Butt wasn't on the premises, but I'm aware, according to Bob Deere, my colleague, Mr. Butt was seen in the premises. May I ask, on that particular day, so I'm not saying he was working, which I think was it was incorrectly written in the document, so I do apologize for that. But in terms of he was seen at the venue on the 15th of June, if I may ask, what was the nature of Mr. Butt's visit, or what was the nature of your visit, Mr. Butt, on that particular day?
Which date? Which date?
15th of June.
No, I wasn't there 15th of November.
Mr. Butt was not there on 15th of November, like I said to you, as he was.
And that's why I'm saying 15th of June. I'm aware that it was the 15th of June.
Oh, this 15th of June. About regarding this, which when I heard he tried to sell in the shop.
Okay, so you were going to inquire about the business being
Yeah.
up for sale.
Exactly.
Okay, so at that moment in time, you didn't have any kind of involvement with the previous owner and.
No.
All right. Chair, I haven't got any further questions at this stage. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank
No
you.
problem. Yeah. Obviously, you reserve the right to come back should you require. Mr. Deere, questions to Mr. Panchal and Mr. Butt?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just a point of clarification to start with, Chair. Mr. Panchal in his presentation said that the application should have been for midnight. I just wonder if that was a mistake there that he said.
Should have been what? Sorry.
But for midnight. Right at the start, he said that the application should have been for midnight, but it was put in for 11 o'clock. Was that a mistake, Mr. Panchal, on your behalf, or
No, the application.
you don't want midnight
The
anymore?
application is up to 11 o'clock. The
Right,
shop
so what
was
you said
late.
earlier was wrong. Okay, it's no problems.
Yeah.
And also now you're saying you want to reduce the opening hours, or sorry, the opening sale of alcohol from 8 to 9 every day.
That's correct. Yeah, after discussing it with Mr. Butt, he's requested us that we would rather the morning hours. He would like to wait till the children, because there is a school around there near, which he understands, and he would like the hour to be reduced in the morning from 8 o'clock to 9.
Okay. And well, on that point, let's stick on that point actually. And how are you going to make sure that older children, hopefully, come into the shop and pick up alcohol?
How would you stop? Sorry, your question is how would you stop children picking up the alcohol?
Yeah, at 8:30, because they should be at school by 9 o'clock, I think, nowadays.
Yeah, how do you secure how do you secure the alcohol? You know, how do you? It's a challenge having an open shop and not having a product available for sale.
Yeah, we got electric shutter, metal one, which I open after the school time. Simple as that. Because alcohol not open, no one can grab it. No one can take it because the electric lock metal shutter there, not just a blind one.
So you've extended that, haven't you? Because it never covered every shelf the last time I was in there.
I don't know about the last time, sir. I'm talking about myself. Even
so you're saying there are now metal shutters that cover all the alcohol on display.
Yeah, all the alcohol have a metal shutter. There's a lock one.
Right. Okay.
Including fridge, including beer fridge have a metal shutter.
Right. Okay. And also, perhaps maybe Mr. Well, you can probably clarify this, Mr. Butt. On your application, you've put opening hours till midnight every night of the week. Is that still the case, or have you decided after your discussion this morning that you want to reduce that?
Yeah, reduce from morning, start from morning 9 until 11, and 11 o'clock I close the shop even. Not
right, so
only
you don't want to open till midnight then, every night of the week?
Yes, he doesn't want to open till midnight. He wants to close at 11 o'clock.
11 close the shop.
Okay. Okay. You've said that Mr. Bauja, who's obviously there with you, because it's Mr. Anil Bauja, isn't it?
That's right.
Was the previous license holder from his company. That in your application you've got a management agreement.
No, sale agreement. As soon as he gets his license, I'm selling the business to himself.
Right, but in the application, obviously that's not your application, Mr. Bauja. It's got a management agreement will be in place. So that's not true either then.
Like I said, we've just put down the condition that we are asking for an extra condition, which said the transfer of the lease would be to Mr. Zaid Butt, which would take another 2 months. If once the license is granted, those procedures will start. But in the meantime, if the license is granted, straight away a management contract will be drawn up, and the lease documents will be then prepared, which would take 1 or 2 months, which will be presented to the licensing authority.
Okay, and so what are you prepared to do then if after 2 months those papers are not able to be given to the license authority? Well, it takes 4, 5, 6 months to do.
Well, normally it takes 2 months. If it exceeds more than 2 months, the lawyers will definitely be working on it, and we would be getting the lawyers' papers presented to the licensing authority to say the work is being delayed a bit, but it is carrying on.
Right. Okay. You said that everybody's going to go on a course, a BII course, to become a personal license holder, but you haven't offered that as a condition in your. That there'll always be one on site.
Yeah, Mr. Zaid Butt, Mr. Butt is going to be around, who holds a personal license, and I think we have mentioned that there will be always a personal license holder present all the time when licensable activities.
No, you haven't. No, you haven't, Mr. Have you not read the application that Mr. Kapoor
we're happy to have
you,
Mr. Let's put it like that, Mr. Bob, that we are happy to have that condition added if the license is granted.
Lovely. And in your representation. You said that Mr. Butt has got experience from 2017 to 2020. So the last 4 years, he hasn't worked in an off license.
Yeah, I know off license make is yours.
About 7-8 months Hanzo West.
As long as
8 months after Corona, when Corona finish.
after Corona finish.
Yes.
In 20, he has worked. Can you explain the work?
Yeah, I worked when is the COVID finish about 7-8 months Hanzo West one shop, and after I get the job Heathrow, so I moved that job because they have a good pay.
Mhm.
So till like 3 weeks before, I was work at Heathrow Maple Parking. Might be you know the company for driving job. So now I heard Mr. Bajaj, Anil Bajaj selling the shop. So I try to take this business now because I see the good future potential. If you
Okay. So your job at Heathrow, you're going to resign from that, are you, or keep it on?
sorry,
Are you going to pack up the job in Heathrow?
yeah, the job is that job is finished now
Right.
because
Okay.
that one is a self-employed job.
Yeah, it's just that you said that you're going to be in the shop all the time.
Yeah, I
So-
quit that shop now.
Chair, I think we lost Councillor Anand.
Yeah, somebody's gone.
Just bear with us, please.
Yep, no problems, Chair.
Just perhaps everyone mute their mic. Just give Sean an opportunity to patch in with Councillor Anand.
Let's just take a break and use the toilet if you don't mind, sir.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
If
Sorry, I'm
people
just
want
leaving the meeting
to,
for a minute, Mr. Judge. Sorry.
yeah, it's fine. Yeah, we'll pause because we can't do anything.
Sorry.
इंदर है दूसरी.
Start and consider this.
That was it.
Thank you.
Any sign of Councillor Anand, Sean?
Unfortunately not. I've tried to call him and it's just gone straight to voicemail. So I think he might be trying to get back in, but I'm not too sure unless his internet's gone completely.
Yeah, and Councillor Anand is in touch with Sean at the moment, so hopefully they'll work it
Sorry.
out.
His Teams crashed, so he's just going to restart and he should be joining in a
Yeah,
sec.
yeah. Cheers. Thank you. Guests are waiting in the lobby. How about that? Okay, thank you, Councillor Anand. Yeah, no.
Apologies.
No yes, right, right. No worries.
Apologies to everybody.
We'll press on. We'll press on. In fact, where were we? Mr. Deere, where you were asking a question to.
Yes,
Mr.
Chair.
Yeah.
I've only got one more question, I think, or two. Obviously, Mr. Butt. That's it, Mr. Butt. So you admit it was you that was in the premises, not working, on the day I came in on the 15th of June and served the review papers. You weren't at Heathrow, is that correct?
15th of June, might be I was there, I'm not remember, but not the 15th of November.
No, it wasn't. No, that was a mistake. That was when the visit was done. You definitely weren't there when the visit was done. But yeah, because we had a conversation. Actually, you said you would ensure that the papers would be brought to the attention of the premises license holder. Because I remember the incident, because I asked you to move out of the way when I was taking a picture of the blue notice, if you remember rightly.
15 June of this year or 2023?
2020. It'd be 2024.
Were you there on the day he came to put the?
A couple of months ago.
Yeah.
I mean, just like a couple of months ago, Mr. Deere, what he does to ensure that there's no misunderstanding, he goes down in person with papers. Mr. Deere, you presented those, and you had a conversation on that day with Mr. Butt in relation to this application. Is that correct?
That is correct, Chair. My point being,
and well, just come in, Mr. Butt. Do you remember 2 months ago? So, Mr. Deere, obviously, talking to you about the premises.
No.
You don't. Okay. So
No,
you don't.
okay.
He's saying he spoke to you. You're saying you weren't there 2 months ago.
No, 100% not me.
Okay. Where might have you been then, Mr. Butt?
Pardon?
Where were you?
Where might have you been?
Might be I'm
2
at
months?
work. I'm work.
Okay.
I can check my old rota. Might be I can prove that day I'm at work.
But Mr. Deere, because a couple of months ago, so it's fairly fresh. Mr. Deere, you spoke to Mr. Butt, correct?
correct, yes. Chair.
All right, thank you. So yeah, cheers. So there's no.
Mr. Just to clarify this, Mr. Deere saying that he met Mr. Butt. Mr. Butt clearly says he was on duty at the Heathrow Airport where he was working. So there is a dispute here.
There is, yes. So we'll have to.
He's now going to show you his rota that he has on his phone, that on that particular day he was working at Heathrow. So Mr. Butt, as we are saying, or as we are mentioning, must have made Mr. Fawad, not Mr. Butt. It might be Mr. Fawad that Mr. Deere must have met. That is what the clarification we are trying to make. So you must have made somebody there, not Mr. Anil, but it was Mr. Fawad, not Mr. Butt.
Okay, who is Mr. Fawad? How does he relate to the premises?
He was the one who was employed at the premises.
He was my employee, Mr. Deere.
Okay.
Sorry, Chair.
Sorry, he was my employee.
Mr.
No,
Fawad.
Anyway, we'll move on, Chair.
Sorry.
Right, fine, thank you. We
Yeah, it's perhaps people's knowledge is
Chair.
not there.
Chair.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're going to go to councillors' questions now anyway. So with that in mind, I'll let you go, Councillor Perrine, Councillor Anand.
No, just on the point. I thank you, Chair, for allowing me in. Just on this point, Mr. Butt. When we were talking to Officer Dimitri, you mentioned that you were at the premises. You were discussing with Mr. Bajaj about the negotiations of the business. So I need a little bit more clarification. That were you there or were you not? Because one moment you said you were there, and one moment you're not.
Yes, I was in the June, but I wasn't meet Mr.
We were talking about June. Mr. Deere just
that-
mentioned that November was a mistake. So it was June, 2 months ago. I mean, even the chair just mentioned, were you there 2 months ago? And you categorically said you were not.
Yeah, he wasn't, categorically, he's still saying that he wasn't there when Mr. Deere came in to present those documents. What we are saying is when in June, 2 months ago, when Mr. Deere came on the premises to present those documents, it was Mr. Fawad and not Mr. Butt. But 2 months ago, Mr. Butt did meet Mr. Anil, the owner of the premises. So there is a conflicting dates when Mr. Deere went to the shop. Mr. Fawad wasn't, Mr. Butt wasn't there.
We've heard that, Mr. Panchal, but what I'm actually saying is it's very confusing for us hearing one moment Mr. Butt was there and was there on business to discuss the sale of the business, and one moment he wasn't there, and this conversation is in the same meeting, and it was about a few months ago. So I'm going to leave that point there. I don't need any more clarification. I'm going to leave that point there. May I go ahead with other questions, Chair?
Sorry, Chair, I need, it is a conflicting, it must be discussed because this will make sure.
Okay, right.
In June.
Sorry to intervene. Sorry,
Chair. In June.
One moment, please. One moment, please, Mr. Panchal. In summing up, and in response to other questions, you can state what you believe and what you understand happened on those dates, and I'll give Mr. Deere the opportunity, and you and Mr. Deere will in his summing up will restate what he believes, who he spoke to and when, or he may not do, and then you're able to clarify then what you believe happened. So I don't think questions around this who met who on this date is going to be very helpful for us to because there's other stuff we want to cover. Okay, so I'm going to take and with greatest respect to Councillor Nand, I'm going to go to Councillor Nagpal now, and she generally, if you have any questions not relating to this matter about who met who on that particular date, then I'll come back to Councillor Nand again. So just perhaps to move it along, Councillor Nagpal, do you have any questions? I'll come back to Councillor Nand, but Councillor Nagpal.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Panchal, respectfully, I'd really like for Mr. Butt to answer this question. As you know, this is a special policy area, and we need to obtain an understanding that Mr. Butt understands the conditions and understands what we expect of him if we were to award this license. So please allow him to answer the question. Mr. Butt, first and foremost, if you could just elaborate somewhat on your relationship with Mr. Bajaj, how long you've known him, in what capacity. And my second question is, your experience and your employment history has been mentioned, but it's all been quite vague. So I would like for you to explain to us the last sort of 10 years, what you've done for employment, how long you ran an off license, if you were a manager or an owner, or your role in that off license, how long you worked in Heathrow, what your role was there. I just want to get a better understanding of you as a person, your employment history, your roles of responsibility in general, and therefore understand how able you are to manage an off license and deal with some of the conflicts that might come from that management and ownership. Thank you.
I know Mr. Neil Bajaj, minimum was 8-9 years, first of all, and second, I have experience for this shop about more than 3 years, and I used to be work before Hayes, one shop, and one Hansrow West. You can say altogether about 6 to 7 years. I work in off-license shops, grocery shop, off-license and grocery. And the last my off-license grocery shop experience, Acton one, this one. I was even you can say manager. Even I manage everything in this shop when I was there, 217, and that time is the owner is the Mr. Mother.
So to clarify, during which years did you work? So you've worked in this shop specifically.
At this shop, I start 2017 until COVID start.
So in this shop specifically, you've worked from 2017 until 2020. And prior to that, you were working for an off-license and grocery shop in Hayes for 6 to 7 years.
That is about 10 years ago.
इस shop के बाद भी आपने काम
No, after this shop, Hansrow I worked. Yes, Hansrow I worked about 7 months.
Okay, and when was that?
When is COVID finish and the shop back to normal, then I
and you had like a management role. You were able to oversee.
Yeah, I was work at the till and that shop Hansrow West.
Okay. And when you were questioned about conflict resolution, you said that you know people in the Acton area, people have come in and purchased items and left, and you've never had any trouble. So have you had any experience of alcohol-related conflict resolution at all?
Are you saying any problems he had with the alcohol?
Councillor Nand appears, sorry to intervene everyone, Councillor Nand appears to have crashed, so to speak. So just hold that Councillor Nagpal's question is about conflict resolution. Just hold that in your thoughts, Mr. Butt, and how you might respond to that when Councillor Nand comes back. Thank you.
So yeah, I'm going to express to him what your question is to make him understand what you're asking him for, and he will answer. I'm not going to answer that. How would you tackle if somebody there was a conflict?
He can't answer the question because he can't answer it now. He can clarify the question, but we don't really want to take the answer.
Okay. Sorry, is there any other question?
No, they said wait.
Well, not at the moment, no.
No.
Sean, are you doing a bit of juggling at the moment? Juggling phone calls, etc. Are you?
No, I keep going to answer phone immediately. So I think this is Teams.
Mm-hmm. Right, Councillor Nand, that's fine. No need to apologise. Let's move away. Let's move on to Mr. Panchal. The question was a conflict management from Councillor Nagpal.
Yeah, Chairman. As I mentioned in my presentation, that we'll be asking Mr. Butt to undergo the conflict management course. The conflict management course makes you understand when there is a conflict.
Sorry, but Councillor Nagpal's question was what can he demonstrate, given the years of experience that he's had? How could he evidence that now?
Yeah. Can you explain to how we would evidence if there was a conflict?
How to handle it?
Yeah, just loudly.
Yeah. Actually, I'm a very calm person, and I don't think so in my life I go quickly hyper or start argument, which is worthless. If I argument is go mess, I make him busy in a talk and try to explain him this is not good, that way. And I remember one time happened this in Acton when I was there. So I talked to him nicely and explain him, he understand and leave. The best way is not to argue. No, don't try to prove you are wrong. When I tell someone you are wrong, might be he aggressive.
But what was that argument about, Mr. Butt?
About argument about the, I remember he asked me about discount, the guy. He might be he go short of money, he tried to argument, but it's fine. When I try to explain, I'm working, I'm not a boss. If I'm a boss, I can give you discount. I have to answer my boss. How can I give you discount for no reason? So he understand and nicely he go. But if I'm aggressive with him, oh, get out from the shop, then obviously it's a mess.
Okay, Councillor Nagpal, did you want to go back to you, ma'am?
No further questions for now. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Councillor Nand, questions from you, sir? Sorry to sort of interject. I just wanted to get away from the.
No, that's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine, Chair. Mr. Butt, I lost connection, so I just want to go back to Councillor Nagpal's question, where you gave the history that you were working with the convenience barn up to the 2020. Can you just repeat after that for me, so I have that information, then I can ask you my next question, please?
Yeah. Okay. After I worked about 6-7 months in Hangzhou West, one shop, the called Kapoor Food and Wine, and after I got the opportunity to work at Heathrow Maple Parking, till last month I was work there. Now I heard about Mr. Bajaj selling the shop, so I start coming here on the shop and speak to him, try to bargain and request to give to me. That's it.
Okay, so taking your experience, thank you. That clarifies my situation. Just to go back, in 2015, it's not relevant to this application, but you say you know the area quite well.
Yeah.
Do you actually recall what happened in that situation, or is that something past your memory? Then it's okay.
I wasn't there that time.
You weren't there that time. That's fair enough. That's okay. I just want to lead on to you to just ask you what you understand by a special policy area.
Special policy regarding about?
So the shop that you're actually going to be you're applying for the license is in a special policy area. What do you understand by a special policy area?
Special policy about the
area.
Yeah, area. I know very well. All the people, even.
No. Let me just explain to you again. I'll try and make it a bit more clearer for you.
Let me have a go. So, Mr. Bajaj, there's borough is large. There's 7 towns, and some of them have particular challenges. And there's some places, some high streets are in special policy areas. And since 2020, there's been special policy areas longer, but they've been extended and taken in more premises. What do you understand about the special policy area? What why might Acton Town be in a split, or Acton, not Acton Town, Acton High Street, be in a special policy area? Why might that be? It's giving you.
That's the age factor and people standing and outside drinking alcohol. Sometimes, not now, before I saw in High Street by the church, sitting all day long and drinking beer, sometimes youngsters smoking. So that's why I think they call the special area.
To avoid all that.
Okay,
So
thanks. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, and
Praveen.
how would you operate differently in that if your shop is in a special policy area? How would you operate differently? You've operated in other areas within London quite successfully. How would you operate differently if your shop is in a special policy area?
First of all, is not selling the single can for the customer who's standing outside in High Street and drinking. Like I don't have even miniature and not allowed to drinking in the shop.
Outside the shop.
And even outside the shop or front of shop, whatever. So.
Thank you, Mr. Butt. It's okay. Thank you very much. Chair, I have no more questions.
Cheers. So, Mr. Butt, have you undertaken premise license? What's the word? A personal license course?
Yeah, I had.
Yeah. Okay. And when did you do that, sir?
I think when I started this shop, before that one, I think 2016 or 17, something.
So number of years ago. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So you have done it, and obviously that can be certified or verified. So given the nature of your application and the caveats with Mr. Bajaj, have your solicitors, is there any terms of engagement? Is there any memorandum of sale around this agreement, this bargain, as you put it?
Yes, we are dealing with that part of the documentation. We have a solicitor that we work with regularly on a regular basis. It's called Vikas Puri, and we will be dealing with the documentation and the transfer of the lease and all those documents through our company via Mr. Vikas Puri, Regent Associates.
Is there a memorandum of? Is there a memorandum that exists?
Yes, Mr. Vikas Puri is prepared to give us the idea that he is going to be acting on Mr. Zaid Butt's transfer of the lease and transfer of the management contract. And
is there a memorandum? Is there a memorandum?
Not at the moment.
There's no memorandum.
At the moment.
Thank you. And thank you for. There's no memorandum. Okay. I have no questions. Obviously, reserve the right to ask questions, as do my fellow councillors, but let me just come to my checklist. Okay. So I believe we go to Mr. Deer to make Sergeant Mitri, this is to make your representation now, sir.
Chair, thank you, councillors, once again. So, from a policing perspective, obviously the premises is situated on the busy high street in the Acton area, which is a special policy area, which we have discussed. This area is, whilst not necessarily emanating from this particular store, but due to the fact of high foot traffic, etc., street drinkers, the area is known to police for crime, antisocial behaviour, nuisance behaviour, more so than any other areas on the London Borough of Ealing. It also impacts on the London Ambulance Service, who also attend the area due to a high volume of alcohol-related type calls. With the SBA in place, the onus for me is on the applicant to demonstrate an understanding of special policy area, of which he has alluded to slightly, but I still don't think there is a clear enough understanding from my perspective regarding what a special policy area is and what the undertakings are in terms of a business operator to operate effectively within this particular area. As discussed, it's known for street drinkers, antisocial behaviour, and then the Mount, which is a large open space outside the Morrisons, and that area is where a high level of street drinkers gather and drink on the benches and do make some members of public feel slightly unsafe. With regards to the history of the venue, it was brought to police attention that the premise previously had a premise license which was revoked on the 17th of January. Obviously, we've discussed that, and it appears from what we now know that the previous owner has stated that he is giving that up due to family difficulties and the pressure of running the day-to-day business. I'm also aware that Mr. Butt has known the previous owner for a period of 9 years. Obviously, there's been some discrepancy in what the relationship is between Mr. Butt and Mr. Bajaj, as they've known each other for 9 years. And on the 15th of June, there's also been some form of discrepancy regarding the day Bob Diaz saw Mr. Butt at the premise, 15th of June, and it's alluded that a conversation has taken place regarding the premise, paperwork, etc., of which Mr. Butt has denied that. However, there is a slight discrepancy there. From a policing perspective, I'm not sure if there is a clear line regarding the current applicants and the previous license owner, whether they're, and I don't want to sound accusatory, but that the line will be blurred in terms of who will be running the venue. Also, with regards to the documents which Mr. Panchal has stated, and Mr. Panchal, correct me if I'm correct, you said you're not putting in the paperwork until a license is granted from an administrative perspective. I believe that's what you were alluding to. If I've got that wrong, I do apologise, but that's what I understood by that. Again, from our side of things, that also kind of muddies the waters in terms of who will actually have ownership of the area. And then earlier in the conversation, it was also alluded that the area is close to a school, and from the other side of the licensing objective, preventing children from harm, etc. Whilst I understand Mr. Butt has stated he's going to be putting down those barriers with regards to the sale of alcohol, I think it also alludes to how will he manage a group of kids in terms of antisocial behaviour occurring within the shop, and not only within the shop and outside the shop, but how will he manage that conflict resolution? How will he manage the traffic within the kids who may be disruptive not only to people outside, but also personal safety within his environment of a shop? There are very, that is all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Just, yeah, Mr. Day, if you'd like to make representations, please, sir.
Yes, Chair. Firstly, I'd like to clarify the date situation, and it's my fault. I'd like to just point out that these premises were visited on the 15th of June 2023, and that's why I've got the dates muddled up, by immigration. Following that visit, a review was served in November 2023, and that was the day I met Mr. Butt. The reason I've got the dates mixed up is because I hadn't turned the page over. Because on the 15th of June of this year, I did go to the premises again. Perhaps I should have chose a different day. That was the day, or 2 days after the appeal was withdrawn. The reason for that visit was to ensure that the alcohol had been removed from the premises. On that time, it had not. All the shelves have been cleared, and downstairs in the basement, excuse me, the store contained a large quantity of alcohol. So I apologise, and I know Mr. Panchal shaking his head, so his staff remembers it. And the member of staff I mentioned was I saw that day was Mr. Siddiqui. I don't know what his first name is, but he's been there for years. But my representation is these premises were reviewed. It is in a special priority area. That is, in fact, in a special priority area for longer than since 2020. That was when the latest, or this special priority area was actually extended up to take in Moorhorn Lane due to the alcohol related crime and disorder in the area. So the crime and disorder around this shop has not gone down at all over the last 8 to 9 years. It's always been a bit of a hotbed for street drinkers. In the application, it is stated that a management, or a condition is offered, I think at number 14, of a management agreement, and obviously we've heard that won't be signed or made up, or a lease transferred until a license is granted, which is quite is known and usual. However, in the previous application, a lease was actually not for this premises, but a lease was shown to the committee. All the conditions are the same as the old license. The timings have changed, yes, I agree, slightly, but we've heard, and no disrespect to Mr. Butt, I don't think he really appreciates what a special priority area is. Yes, it is a rebuttable presumption to refuse, but I believe that we haven't heard anything today. In his submission, he's mentioned his experience of the area, which was 4 years ago. And as I said earlier, just now, that the special priority has been extended since, so it's actually got worse in that area. So I still stand by. Obviously, the dates have changed, but on the November, I saw Mr. Butt in that premises. He said, and in fact, if you look at page 42 of my statement, on my representation, sorry, I've put there the second paragraph, or the last but one paragraph, that the applicant is known to the previous licence holder and was present on the premises when I visited to serve the review paperwork and displayed a blue notice. And I explained to him the importance that the paperwork be actioned by Mr. Bajwa immediately, which he said it would be. I say we haven't heard anything from the thing that any exceptional circumstances. In the area, there are already 4 premises permitted for off sales and 3 for on sales. At least one of those, a pub opposite, is closed over the years and never reopened. We've received complaints made to the licensed team, especially the community safety team, that about street drinks and groups are used at congregating nearby streets, drinking and using nitrous oxide gas. This just makes the area intimidating, especially for lone females and vulnerable people. Noticeable increase in ASB and violent incidents involving drunk males. I still stand by my recommendation the application be refused, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, that's fine. Obviously, you'll have an opportunity to sum up
Thank you.
again. But this is a point where if Mr. Panchal has any questions to Mr. Deer or Officer Dimitri, Sergeant Dimitri. Questions to Officer Sergeant Dimitri, Mr. Panchal?
Yeah, a couple of questions. Looking at the guidance section 182, to both Mr. Dimitri and Mr. Deer, why have we not brought in any criminal reports or that attached to this committee today?
Sergeant Dimitri.
Chair, I've alluded to that. Whilst I said I'm not saying the criminal activity emanates from this specific store or business. It is general in that area, and that's why it is a special policy area. But I can look that up for you in the last 6 months to see how many police calls are related to that venue, to that area, if you would like.
Sorry, this committee is based on evidence-based about you are saying that it is an area, a special area, because there are a lot of criminal activities. So should there not be some criminal activities report presented to this committee to make sure, because Mr. Butt is saying he understands the area, he understands the people there, and he can manage the premises much better.
Sure. We have to take face value of the special policy area as it was introduced. Hattie, would you able to perhaps help me with that? Well,
Yes.
in terms of
Indeed, Chair. Mr. Panchal, you referred to the section 182 guidance. Can you just direct me to which paragraph you're specifically referring to so that I can advise the committee?
Well, I can look. I think it's 9.4.
Whilst you're looking that up, perhaps if I can just advise the committee.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Hattie, please.
So the cumulative impact of an area is drawn up following a number of investigations that are carried out before the policy, the local authority policy that is put into place. And so it's evidence-based that these areas that Ealing have designated as special policy areas are put in place in the policy. So that is the evidence base that is used as part of the consultation and investigation before the policy is drawn up. As for the hearing today, Sergeant Kassar has said that there is no evidence directly relating to this premises, and that it's not necessary in these type of hearings for there to be evidence directly related to these premises because they're in a special policy area. The onus is on Mr. Panchal's client to satisfy this subcommittee that his running of this premises is not going to add to the cumulative impact, i.e. the antisocial behaviours, street drinking, the crime and disorder objective, and more widely. So I'm not entirely sure which paragraph Mr. Panchal was referring to specific for this type of hearing, but I can't see anything, certainly from my knowledge of the section 182 guidance or indeed our policy.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Sorry, it's 9.43 that I was referring to.
Okay, just bear with me a moment. Let me take myself to that part of the policy. So paragraph 9.43 falls under determining actions that are appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives. The authority's determination should be evidence-based, justified as being appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives and proportionate to what is intended to achieve. What I would do, what I would say in regards to that, Chair, is that the relevant provisions for Mr. Panchal to perhaps be considering are those that are contained within the paragraphs 14 onwards, which are specific to cumulative impact and special policy areas and the considerations that the committee would need to take. Furthermore, I would ask Mr. Panchal to apply his mind to the London Borough Readings policy and specifically paragraphs 2.8, 2.9, 2.12 and 2.13. And there's a number of other paragraphs thereafter in following on from 2.87 to 94, which may be relevant specific for applications for new premises license in special policy areas.
Okay,
Yes,
so Mr. Panchal, so you can take that and you can perhaps refer to that in your summing up. But do you have Sergeant Dimitri has answered the question. He hasn't presented any data specific to the premises today because it. So, do you have any other questions relating to to Sergeant Dimitri?
Not to Sergeant Dimitri. I would like to clarify again to Mr. Dear regarding Mr. Siddique's presence at the premises. He has got his Heathrow's attendance, whereby he is clarifying that in November, when Mr. Dear is saying that the documents were presented to Mr.
Not me.
Mr. Zaid Butt. Mr. Zaid Butt clearly can prove.
I think we've agreed that Mr. Okay, all right. So
He wasn't present.
what's
No,
your
Chairman.
what's your question to Mr. Dear? Let's try and say on what date, who did you see, and when? Not about.
My question to Mr. Dear is, here is Mr. Zaid Butt. Is this the person that you met on any occasion that you visited the premises?
Yes.
When did you meet Mr. When did you meet Mr. Butt? At how many
I met
times?
Mr. Butt when the review was served at the premises. Yes, Mr. Siddiqui was behind the counter.
One moment.
No.
Just
Mr. Butt
Mr.
there?
Butt just Mr. Butt. I
Yes.
mean, in terms of Mr. Butt wants to be the applicant. So when did you meet Mr. Butt?
Chair, when I served a review to the shop worker there, Mr. Butt was stood inside the shop, inside by the door.
November.
And what date was that? That was a couple of months ago. 15th.
It was, no, sir. It was November. November
That
when
was
I
the
served.
that was the
20
original. So that was
Yes.
the review. Sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
November. Okay. Mr. Butt, do you remember that?
No, sir.
November-
I have a question.
Okay.
Sir, when you
Okay.
saw me or talk to me, I was look same or I have a glasses or something? If you
I've
remember.
never seen you with glasses on, Mr. Butt. Never
Yeah.
seen you with glasses on.
Yeah, because I'm shocked you recognize me because I color my hair 10 days ago. Before I have a white hair, you can see. I have white hair, all my white hair. I just colored 10 days ago and you recognize me with the black hair. That's good.
Well, if you coloured it 10 days ago, Mr. Thing, hopefully the grey hairs, as they always appear on my head, they don't take long to grow back. 10 days ago was 7 months since I said I saw you in that shop.
Believe me, I don't like argument with due respect, but I never met you in my life. Might be I met you or saw me in that time when I was working 2017 to 20, might be. But in this period, last 2-3 years, I never saw you, never met you. I'm
Okay.
sure you served the documents, Mr. Fuad, not me.
I didn't say I served the review papers on you. I've got the signature of Mr. Siddiqui in my notebook.
So I wasn't there at that time, sir.
He's got a evidence about his attendance at the Heathrow Airport where he was working on that particular day in November. So he can't be at two premises at one
The
time.
same time.
That's our argument
Okay.
today here. What Mr. Butt's saying is he wasn't there.
Okay. Mr. Pancho, any other questions to Mr. Dare or Mr. Dimitri?
Not really.
No, thank you very much. Councillors, do you have questions to Sergeants Dimitri or Mr. Dare? Oh, no, we've got, yeah, go ahead, Praveen. Councillor Anand.
Thank you,
Questions,
Chair.
yeah.
Mr. Dare, this question is about to Mr. Dare and Officer Dimitri. We've heard a lot of Mr. Butt has, let's forget about who was present when and where, but let's just go on the caliber. We've heard that Mr. Butt has got a vast amount of experience in running the off-license and grocery businesses. And we are receiving assurances that Mr. Butt will not be part of the operation of Mr. Bajaj's. Alongside that, they have also reduced some hours. Are there any other measures that they could consider or we could propose to Mr. Butt in order to consider if we were to grant a license? That's the question to both Mr. Deere and Mr. And Officer Dimitri. And you can say no, that we've heard enough, and
that's fine.
Yeah, that's up to you. But
yeah.
I propose that question to both of you, sir.
I'll go to Mr. Deere first.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I don't think there are any other conditions. These are conditions that are offered. It's got no mention there of the staff that actually have worked in the past in that shop. Yes, Mr. Butt has stated he's had experience in that shop for 3.5, 4 years, between 2017 and 2020. COVID come along. That's 4 years ago. The area has changed, as I said. The special priority area has been extended in Acton for those reasons, and the evidence was produced in 2020, and it will be produced in 2025 when the new policy is up for renewal. It hasn't changed.
Thank you. And any Sergeant?
From my perspective, nothing from me. Yeah, he's discussed about the shutters down. I think the fact that he's willing to change from midnight to 11 o'clock in the evening, I believe that what was said. So yeah, there's nothing further from me, Chair.
Okay, so I believe now it's we go to responsible authorities to sum up, and then to Mr. Panchal and his client to sum up. Thank you. I'll let Mr. Sergeant, if you'd like to go.
Thank you, Chair. I think we've discussed at length today regarding the license application. I think from a policing perspective, for me, just a couple of things that have come up. I think it's possibly, I don't know, but the lack of understanding of a special policy area and what it entails when running a business in terms of the full licensing objectives. You know, with regards to a decrease in antisocial behaviour, obviously minor crime, public nuisance, and also with the school in close proximity, safeguarding and protecting young children. I think I do have a concern because it doesn't appear that there is, or what hasn't come through from Mr. Butt is his understanding of these things and how to manage those specific conflict situations. I understand, yes, coming in at a low level, but other things in terms of what there would be in place for safety of his staff, and with people that if they do purchase alcohol and it's denied and they are inebriated, And from my personal experience, most of the time, people that are intoxicated will not listen to any form of reason. And Mr. Butt, by his demeanor, etc., has come across as a very reasonable man. And these are just concerns about the understanding of how to manage that. I understand there is the Challenge 25 staff training, but what specific staff training? Just a bit more detail, I suppose, from my perspective. And in terms of everything's been answered with regards to everything else, but just based on that, the locale where the shop is at, I think from my side of things, in terms of running the business effectively and from a public safety perspective, those are my ultimate concerns. As from a policing side and from that side of things, I think that's where I reserve judgment with regards to the application being granted.
Thank you very much. Mr. Panchal, if you'd like to sum up, and obviously gives you opportunity to address some of the representations that have been made. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I would say in my summing up that Mr. Butt has come up with quite a robust promotion of 4 licensing objectives. He does understand what the special area is. He does understand what the 4 licensing objectives are. He has explained that how well he can manage people, as he understands the area very well. He understands people living around that area, and I have also had a good knowledge about it from him. And I personally feel that he is capable of running these premises in a better way, in a reasonable way, in making sure that no objectives or the special area would be respected and dealt with in a proper manner. As regards to his staff, I would like to mention that we are happy to add a condition on the staff that all staff working at the premises will be trained under the BIIAB Level 1 course, which specifies on how the alcohol should be sold, the Challenge 25, the public safety, and the public nuisance and the crime and disorder are covered in that course. So. And he will put it in that training manual that such course has been taken care of. As regards to what Mr. Anil's problem was previously, that the illegal immigrants, Mr. Butt has already mentioned that a proper documentation will be held. Copies of that documentation will also be put into the training manual for responsible authorities to make sure that all the staff have a right to work in the place. Chairman, I know it is very frustrating at this very moment that I know Mr. Deer very well. I've been working with Mr. Deer for quite many years, and I'm feeling a little bit concerned about what we are looking at. Mr. Butt has never met Mr. Deer, and on the day that Mr. Deer is mentioning about it, Mr. Butt
can I just intervene? Look.
Sorry.
Wait. I'm going to take what Mr. Deer says in good faith and what Mr. Butt says in good faith. Either of you could be either of you may be mistaken, and I don't think when I asked you whether there was a memorandum, you said no. So I've got a binary answer to my question. We're never going to get a binary answer to that. So I don't think that particular. I would encourage my fellow members at that point not to prejudice their decision making.
Thank you, Chair. Because I'd leave that point out now because I don't. I'm going to encourage my, not to prejudice their decision making on that particular point. Sorry, Chair. I have a very high respect for Mr. Bob Deer, but maybe he's at this very instance. I just want to leave it
Yeah,
there because
that's fine. Yeah, do. Please do. Yeah.
yeah. So, Chair, that's what I feel. There is an experience. We have come back to. We have on many applications. We have come to you, and we have realized that the license has never been granted. In few other applications, whereby we've agreed that yes, the client has not been fully experienced. But in this case, I would like to put it down that Mr. Butt has a tremendous experience about off licenses. He understands the area. He understands everything. And I feel, Chairman, yes, there will be perspectives put in place. We're happy to put the condition that the documents, if the license is granted, the documents for the premises, we guarantee you, as our company and as working so many years, we will guarantee you that the documents will be presented to the licensing authority. At the very moment, Mr. Butt spending that money to go to that extent and not having the license is not worth for him to have the premises, because it will not financially be viable for him to run these premises. His view at the moment why he's standing still is, my explanation for that is, if the license is granted, yes, he's willing to spend the money to get the documentation in place and make sure the documentation is presented to the licensing authority, and he carries on with the business. If the license is not granted, Mr. Zaid is going to walk away from this deal that he intends to take on. So that's what our presentation is. So, Chairman, we wish that this license be granted to Mr. Zaid Butt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Panchal. Just before we retire, Hattie, do you believe we've covered everything?
Chair, can I just check, did Mr. Deere get the opportunity to close?
He did, yes.
I don't believe he did. Can we just...
Well, no, okay, but I should sum up questions. Okay, he didn't, but I will still go to Mr. Panchal again. Should obviously he gets the ultimate word. So, Mr. Deere, do you wish to sum up?
Chair, I've got one point to make, and I won't mention the other subject. I'd like to remind you of paragraph 213 of our policy about the exemptions unlikely to be made on the grounds of that the premises be well managed. I'll leave my recommendation there, Chair.
Thank you very much. And would you care, and Mr. Kassar, did you want to add any summing up, sir? There's got a shake, and we've got Mr. Panchal. Would you, given that question, or given that last statement, would you like to add to your summing up, sir?
Yeah, just a question, answer regarding the management. We will be making sure, as we are now very much into this application, and we are going to be making sure the management of the premises is carried out in a proper way. We will be following that. We will our company now wishes to make sure that we will be putting all our efforts to make sure this premises does succeed if the license is granted. And I have submitted before, so I'm not going to add anything more on it.
Yeah, sure. Thank you kindly. Hattie, on do you believe we've covered everything now?
Yes, thank you,
Thank you very much. No, thank you. That's why I invite you in at that point. So we have got we're 12:40. We're going to retire now. I would recommend that we tune in 10. Let's be, if everyone would like to return here at 1:25 for a prompt start at 1:30. So that gives us just over 45 minutes to deliberate. Thank you for your patience. See you at 25 minutes past 1.